Just taking a second. Okay, looks like that's working. Okay. Just want to make sure the live is going. It is. Okay, cool. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Emily. I run Commit Me Co. And we do behavioral UX and data strategy for nonprofits and mission-driven organizations. So if you do any nonprofit work or small business work, even, this hopefully will be helpful for you. Today, we're talking about email campaigns and specifically why a lot of what you're currently tracking might not be helpful to you. So, this is going to be a quick 30-minute session where I show you exactly how to track what people are actually doing after they click something in your emails, not just what they clicked. And so, you'll walk away with some templates that I will share. You can use those right away. If you have questions, put them in the chat and I will hopefully be able to see them and pause as we go. Okay. So imagine that you are sending out your monthly newsletter. You've spent tons of time writing and you sent it out via Mailchimp. And this is what we're going to look at over here. So you sent it to your list of 2,847 people and you found that 912 people opened it. Okay, great. 114 people clicked, 4% click rate. Good. But what does that mean? Like, did anybody donate after they clicked? Did the volunteer story that you sent perform better than the program update? Did people volunteer after they clicked the story about volunteering? Um, should you write more personal stories? Like, you don't really have any way to go as far as a decision goes, and you're kind of in the dark there. So that's because you're tracking email metrics instead of human behavior. So this is not, this is on purpose. So programs like Mailchimp, MailerLite, whatever CRM you're using, are designed to make you feel good about the decisions you're making. So having things on there like above average open rate and great job, but they don't tell you if anyone actually did the thing that you asked them to do. So today, we're going to fix that without expensive tools or complicated integrations, just this 30 minutes and some Google Sheets and some very simple tracking. Okay, now I'm going to show you why open rates are kind of bullshit. All right, here's our campaign report. See this? The above average, the 4% click rate. They really are trying to make it seem like you did a great job. But one of the problems with open rates is that Apple killed that metric in 2021. So what they did is they started preloading images in emails. So even if someone never actually opened it, it looks like they did because the Apple servers downloaded the tracking pixel, which means your 32% open rate might be 18%, might be 25%. You really just don't know. Okay, so you know you have 114 clicks. That's a little bit more helpful. And then when they break it down, 47 for the donate, 18 for the volunteer, and 12 for the event page. But Mailchimp stops there. So it tells me that people clicked, but again, it doesn't say what they did after they clicked. So did those 47 people who clicked donate actually donate, or did they click, see the amounts, and bounce? Did the 18 who clicked volunteer actually submit a volunteer application, or were they just browsing? Did the people who clicked the event actually register for the event, or did they check the date, time, and say, never mind? So that's the gap that you're trying to fill. And the email metrics are only measuring curiosity. Did they open it? Did they click it? But what we actually need to show is impact, which is did they act? Okay. So we want to know about behavior, and that is where UTM parameters come in. So if you've heard about UTM parameters in the past and your brain immediately went, nope, too technical, stay with me. This is pretty simple and we're going to walk through it together. So a UTM is a tiny tag that you add to the end of a link so that Google Analytics knows where people are coming from. And that's it. It's just right at the end. So here is an example. Here's a regular link. This is my website, commitmeco/services. if I use the UTM tag and put the sources from my newsletter, it's from an email. The campaign is my monthly February 2025, and the content I want to know about is the donate button. So all this says is someone from my newsletter, click the donate button in my email, and that's it. You're kind of just like adding on each action. And you really only need to care about three. Those three are source, which was what you sent, newsletter. The medium was how you sent it, which is email, and the campaign, which was, in our example, the Jan 25. Okay, so those are the three that are required. And that's how you know if you put the content, so like the content, let's say, is the donate button at the top. That's how you know if the donate button at the top of the email worked better than the one at the bottom, or if the volunteer story drove more clicks than the event announcement. There's also the UTM term, but you can skip that. It's for paid ads, so you don't need that right now. Okay. Um, Google has a tool that makes this very easy. So you can just put in your website. We're just going to pretend that with let's see, we're going to have the source is going to be my newsletter. The medium is email. The campaign is, let's say it's our February 2025. And the content is, let's say I want the donate call to action button at the top. And then this is created for you right here. So then you can just copy this and instead of attaching just that donate link to the button, attach the UTM and it'll tell Google where the people are coming from. Okay, so you would do the same thing each time. So you would do it for the volunteer button and the event button in our example. You would make those. So now they know which email they came from, which link they clicked, and you're still getting from this, I'm gonna give you the spreadsheet that I have afterwards that does the same thing. It really breaks it down and creates a UTM for you over here. So I will share this if this is more your style than the Google tool, but they're both available. Okay. Now we're going to start looking at what people do after they click, and that's where Google Analytics comes in. Let me zoom out. Okay. So this is the behavior chain. This is kind of the good part. This is where we're tracking the email to the click to the landing page to the action. So they get the email, they click the UTM link, they land on your website, they do something, or they don't do something. So the last part is what actually matters. So in Google Analytics, if you look in your traffic acquisition and we filtered it by the email here. This is everyone who came from the January newsletter. So we have 114 sessions, and that matches our 114 clicks. So we know we're measuring the same people, which is good. So if you look at the campaign, which you can click into down here, you can see that 8 people donated, 7 people registered for the event, and 5 people volunteered. So that's what we needed to know. So you can track this month over month like this, but really what we want to know is like who actually gave money, who actually registered and is going, and who actually applied to volunteer. So those are the same Mailchimp numbers, the same sent, same number of clicks, but again, you can just like see what happened after they clicked. Okay. And then if we look at the conversions here, this is how you know. So like, was the donation complete? You can look at the counts and see over time which calls to action are driving which directional. Okay. I'm just going to pause for a second and show you how I track this month over month. Is it going to be huge? No, there we go. Okay. So this is my dashboard. It's just a Google sheet and that's it. So we have the same Mailchimp numbers that I've put in here, how many We put in how many opened it, how many clicked, our open rate, our click rate. And then I have our traffic metrics here from Google Analytics. Okay. And here's where the conversion happened. We know 8 people donated, and we know that it's $2,400. 7 people registered for the event, and we made 700 on that. 5 people applied to volunteer, and 12 people downloaded. So now we know that this email gave us $3,100 in revenue. So when Mailchimp said that 47 people clicked your donate button, what it actually meant was 8 people gave you $2,400. And that's really the number we care about. And then that's where it gets strategic is the conversion rate. So the donate button has a, we do clicks and conversions because we have these UTMs. The volunteer link has a 28% conversion rate. So that means more than 1 in 4 people who clicked it applied. Okay. So what should you do next month based on some of this? What I would do next month is send more volunteer focused content because clearly when you ask people to volunteer, they do it. For the event link, we have 12 clicks, 7 registrations, 58% conversion rate. So that's more than half. That means that event promotion in a newsletter is a really good idea for you. And then Okay. Oh, one more thing. I had 2 main content sections in this email. It was a personal story at the top and a stats-driven story at the bottom. And the personal story section drove donations and volunteer applications, but the stats section drove event registrations. And so that's how you can kind of look at the time investment, how much you made, and you can even break it down by the hour. So we know that again, the personal story drove the donations, stats are driving event, and knowing that stories get people to volunteer and stats get people to show up is not a guess anymore. Now that's data, and that's what we're building. We're building this simple dashboard that is connecting your email clicks to actual human behavior. So now that you have this, how do you build this? If you just take 10 minutes once a month to fill this out, pull the email numbers, paste them in the spreadsheet, pull the Google Analytics traffic, paste them in the spreadsheet, and then pull conversion data and paste it in the spreadsheet. Everything calculates, and then you're going to start to see what's working. Okay. And again, I know this looks a little bit complicated, but I'm going to share all of this. And it even has like UTM examples and instructions. So you'll have all of this. So once you start seeing what's converting, you can start testing to make it better. So I would avoid like the A/B feature in Mailchimp or your CRM. The manual version works just as good and might be a little bit easier to track. So from this, what I would do is for week 1, send an email with a personal story in the top section. Week 2, send an email with the data and stats in the top section and have the same call to action, the same UTM, just different content. Then you look at which ones drove more actual conversions, not the opens or clicks, but the actual action. So, for example, you would maybe test like a subject line. Maybe subject line A is like, meet Maria. She's been helped, by this nonprofit. Email B subject line might say like 500 families served, like much more stats focused. And then we could flip where the button is, the top and the bottom. So test one thing at a time. If you change the subject line and the content and the call to action, you won't know which of those made a difference. But if you run that for 2 to 4 weeks and look at the behavior, and which version drove more conversion. So let's say that the story version got 15 clicks and 4 donations, but the email stats got 12 clicks and 6 donations. Email B had fewer clicks, but more conversions there. And so the stats won. So for donations, lead with data-driven stories. Um, okay, and I think we had a question in the chat. I'm gonna look real quick. Have you ever gotten an AI bot to populate your spreadsheet? Ooh, that's a great question. At present, no, I'm just using formulas, but that could be a good like job for an agent, like pull, go into my CRM, pull my numbers and populate my spreadsheet. So that would be really cool. Okay, I'm gonna pause this. Okay. There's one more thing here, and this is the behavioral psychology piece to all of this. Oh, also, sorry, I'll go back just a second. This could be where you track your A/B test. So you'll also get one of these if you're here and attending. This is that example of like, if you were just looking at the clicks, it has fewer clicks, but 50%. So knowing like lead with data, that's a really good insight and finding you can take from this. My last spreadsheet, I promise. This is the behavioral psych piece of it. Most people are tracking email engagement, like, did they open 5 emails this month? But that doesn't necessarily predict who's going to give you money. But what does predict that is what I call the email engagement score. So it's not just did they open the email, it's did they act on anything in the last 90 days. So here's how you score it. It's opened plus clicked plus did nothing. That's 0. Open and clicked and downloaded something is 1. Open, clicked, registered for an event is 2, and then open, clicked, and donated is 3. And so you can track this in your CRM, you can track this in a spreadsheet, but someone who's taken 2 or more actions in the last 90 days is 8 times more likely to donate again than someone who just opens the email. And that's what the EES is telling you. Being able to just fill these in and figure out how to ask. So, like, if you know that Jane has a higher email engagement score, ask her for a major gift. But if it's maybe medium, just invite them to an event first. And your most engaged people aren't your most frequent email openers, they're your most frequent doers. And then once you have that, you can segment your email list by engagement score. So if they've done like 2+ actions, ask for donations, ask for major gifts, and board referrals. If they've only done 1 action, nurture that relationship with events and volunteer opportunities. And if they have a score of 0, do some sort of re-engagement campaign or sunset them as people that are in your funnel. So that's how you stop sending donation asks to the people who are never going to give you money and start focusing on the people who actually engage. And so, as an example, I helped a nonprofit do a newsletter, and all 8 people who donated had an engagement score of 2 or higher. So they'd already taken action within the previous 90 days. The people who had the score of 0 had 0 donations. And that shows us that behavior predicts behavior. And that's what we're trying to do here is connect those clicks to the actual behavior that we're looking at. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Today, if you are here or watching on the replay, you will get the UTM Builder template, the email tracking dashboard, the one that I showed, the A/B test tracker, and then the engagement score template. And I'm also going to give you a Google Analytics quick start guide that has some screenshots. So this is all in Sheets. So you don't need expensive tools, complicated integrations. This will make it so that you are not guessing and you can start using this today. You're tracking what people do, not just what they click. And then you also are going to know what's working and what to do more of and what to stop immediately. Um, and that's how you build a data-informed email strategy. So I will share the templates in the comments and they'll also be in a follow-up email. So grab them, use them. I hope they're helpful. And thank you for joining me today.